further ado, let's get started. So we're going to be starting up ourselves a new game. Also, since many of you may not be familiar with the info that's been released thus far, I'll be explaining just about everything as we go along here. So the idea behind this game is that you are a commander of a mission to colonize Mars. First, we start out by sending unmanned drones and other things to start building up infrastructure, but then eventually you'll start building up domes and sending live human colonists. Now, how well they do there, how well you do there, is dependent on how well you build up the colony. There's a lot of threats and dangers out there that can sideline you a little bit. So, and we're going to be subjecting ourselves to quite a few of those threats and dangers. Now, when starting up the game, you have to make a number of very important decisions that will affect the overall difficulty of the thing. Thank you for the host wife unit. Overall difficulty of the particular mission here. And this sort of acts as your difficulty slider. So first off, we have to pick a mission sponsor. So this is the organization on Earth that is basically footing the bill and supporting you and your efforts to go to Mars. Now, all of these are not created equal. In fact, they are some are purposely more powerful than others. The easiest one is the International Mars mission. You get ridiculous amounts of funding, ridiculous amounts of applicants, gigantic rockets that refill themselves. It's basically easy mode, which is also reflected in the difficulty bonus of only 20%. And then as you go down the list, you can see the difficulty becomes more and more difficult. Now, each of these have very different bonuses, so they do sort of lend themselves to different play styles. For example, Space Y has 5 rockets, which is huge, but not a lot of other things, but lots of drones. So Space Y can pretty much spread out and play wide. Whereas, say, Church of the New Ark, birth rate is doubled, so your colonists will be having babies left and right, and how you make use of that will sort of factor your playstyle here. We, on the other hand, we're going for the most difficult mission sponsor, Paradox Interactive. So yeah, somehow a game, no evil genius, well, you could, well, depending on your political leanings, which I'm not going to get into here, one could say that Evil Genius is any of these sponsor. I mean, Blue Sun Corporation is just there to make money. They give you bonuses for extracting rare minerals and selling them on Earth. So you could see the fanatical, oligarch. For there. But no, we're going to go with Paradox Interactive, a game publishing studio somehow cobbled together $4 billion and is sponsoring a mission to Mars. So, this is the hardest of the sponsors. We do get 2 little benefits out of this. We discover more breakthrough anomalies, and whenever we research a breakthrough tech, it grants us more applicants. Applicants are basically people on Mars that are foolish enough, brave enough to be stuffed into a rocket and shot to Mars. Now, we get 100 points of research per soul, which actually isn't that much. It also comes with a drawback. Rockets require more fuel to launch, and that's a tough one in the early game. No. As far as how Paradox got themselves $4 billion, I'll tell you the in-universe reason of why Paradox Interactive, the game publisher, has $4 billion. They finally made and released Victoria's Secret. which is their teased dating simulator set in the Victoria series era. That game, I'm telling you, if they make it and publish it, that's gonna make them the big bucks. That's gonna make Minecraft look like a side hobby project in terms of how much dough it's gonna bring in. So that in my headcanon of how Paradox Interactive came about with $4 billion is Victoria's Secret, the Victoria era dating simulator. Right then. So the second choice that we have to make here is the commander profile. Who are we? Hey, Wildkin. Who are we? The commander. Like, what is our background? What are we good at? And thus, which of our special talents can we bring to the party in terms of giving our colony an advantage? Now, these two have an effect on the difficulty bonus. The inventor, and as you can see, it's not quite as dramatic of an effect, but there is an effect. Some of them are a little bit easier or harder than the others, but you'll notice there's one background that has the hardest difficulty increase, and that is the futurist, giving us a 30% extra difficulty boost here. And having played through a bunch of the different commander profiles to sort of get a flavor of them, and once again, like the sponsors, they sort of lend themselves to different play styles, allow you to sort of build colonies up in a different way. The futurist is probably one of the weaker ones, and that's why they give us the extra difficulty bonus when picking them. I mean, there's no drawbacks to the futurist. Breakthrough techs are researched 30% faster, which is nice, but you have to find breakthrough techs, and you can't just, it's not like it's an entire tree. It's not like, engineering techs are researched 30% faster. That would be huge, because there's an entire huge line of engineering techs and biology tech and sociology techs, which I'll be showing you momentarily. So that 30% faster is okay. Now, the autonomous sensors are great in the very beginning because it helps us scan out and scout out really quickly, but the technology for autonomous sensors is like a tier 1 tech anyway. Like, even if you weren't a futurist, you could probably research it within your first couple of techs anyway and get the exact same bonus. So you get a free tech, but it's a low-hanging fruit. So it's the most difficult of them, but we're gonna go with it because that's what I promised you guys. Colony logo doesn't have any impact on anything. You can pick whatever. Since we are sponsored by Paradox, we might as well pick the Paradox logo here. And now for our mystery. There's every single time you start up on Mars, there is a mystery. The game sticks to, at least for the most part, to science fact, or at least what we know of the science. But later on in the game, it will introduce a little bit of sci-fi. You are right, David. There is a synergy between these two, which is part of the reason why I'm going with them. They are the most difficult, but they do play off of each other nicely, because being able to get more breakthrough anomalies means there's more breakthrough techs, which we can then research faster, and then get more applicants by researching them faster. So yes, there is a nice little duo between these two, which is part of the reason why I'm going with them. So the mystery is sort of the sci-fi element. There's something strange with the planet. And that something strange, there's a whole bunch of different mysteries here. And they don't actually tell you which of these are. I know nothing about what these things are. So we're gonna stick to random, and who knows, if we're playing this long enough, we might bump into said mystery. All right, let's get started. Now, the next thing that we have to consider here is, what are we stuffing in our first rocket? Now, as with Paradox Interactive as our first sponsor, we get one rocket only. I mean, you can buy more rockets, but they're really expensive. So it's not something you can just drop a little change on. So essentially, we are going to be forced to use and reuse this one rocket of ours. So we have to be very mindful about what we put in it on each journey. We have only so much funding to spend on stuff, and there's only so much cargo capacity. Now, when you start the game up, it always picks this as your sort of your starting lineup. It's good. It's not great. Of course, you might want to tailor this to whatever strategy you're going for. So first off, these orbital probes. These things let you scan sectors right away, but they cost $100 million each. Our whole thing is that we can slap down some really good scanners and do the scanning ourselves. So yeah, none of those. We're not dropping 200 million on freaking orbital probes. We are probably never going to buy an orbital probe in the entire game. Now, one thing we can pick up is building our sensor towers does require electronics. And we also need electronics to upkeep our drone hubs. So I'm actually going to give myself a little extra, 5 extra electronics to start with. Eventually, later in the game, you can manufacture your own polymers, machine parts, and electronics. But at the beginning of the game, no such infrastructure exists. You gotta buy them and import them. Polymers are fine as is. Those are fine as is. The other thing the game likes to do is it likes to start with these rovers here. I actually, don't get me wrong, I like these RC rovers here, but I am not a fan of putting them in our first rocket because we haven't explored and scanned the Martian landscape, and these things are really good when you have to send them into distant parts of the place here in order to fetch and research things. So for our first rockets, I don't include them. For our second rocket, I will. Now, prefab buildings, these are also very important. These are also things that we can, once we research the tech, eventually manufacture and build ourselves, but for the time being, we can't. So we have to buy them basically pre-packaged, essentially IKEA buildings. They come together in boxes and we just put them together ourselves. We don't need the tech for it. Now, because our drawback with the rockets here is that they are fuel hogs. One fuel refinery is not going to cut it. We'll be here all day just waiting for our first rocket to get refueled. So we need a second refinery. And in order to fuel that refinery, which turns water into fuel, we need more moisture evaporators. Now, there's 2 sources of waters. One is moisture evaporators, which pull water from the atmosphere. The other is water deposits. However, there's no guarantee that we start with a water deposit near us. So we're getting the moisture evaporators in the assumption that we will not be starting up near a source of water. And then lastly, a drone hub. This is going to be actually really crucial to the logistics of pretty much everything here. Now, we still have 5,000 kilograms left and plenty of funding. I like to spend the rest of my money on more drones. We start with 6. The drone hub comes with 4 more, but they can control 20 of them. So if we drop the most of these, we'll have plenty of drones rolling around, moving, building stuff for us, moving goods from point A to point B, and just generally being extremely useful. Right then, so that is that's our first rocket, nice and full. Last order of business here is to give it a name. MacGyver one, nah. I'm gonna call it Sharky. Now, why am I calling it Sharky? I'll show you why in a minute. Now, the last choice that we have to pick here is picking a landing spot. Where on the Martian surface are we going to land? And where you decide to go will also affect your difficulty and everything. What resources are available in that area, and the frequency of the various types of threats that can afflict your colony. So you can give yourself also the topography. If you give yourself a mountainous region, you're not going to have a lot of room to build a colony. So you can really give yourself different things, and every single coordinate is its own unique map and its own unique set of things. So you can really spend a long time finding the proper and the best place here for it. And as you can see, your difficulty bonus shifts as you go through here. Now, I personally have been trying things out, and I have a particular set of coordinates that I like. And you can actually just type them right in. And that is 16 degrees north, 35 degrees west. Whoop! Right in the Mars Pathfinder landing area. So we've got ourselves maximum concentration of metals. LWKG, thank you for the follow. Maximum concentration of metals, not so much with the concrete, medium high of water. I really don't like dust, really don't like dust, so I am avoiding the dust devils and dust storms. But I do like myself a little gambling, so we are in a region that has maximum meteors, or as I like to call them, prizes from the sky. And as we play along here, you'll see why I like to call meteors prizes from the sky. We also have a little bit of cold waves, because they can mix things up a little bit. They definitely make you plan around them. But yeah, I think this is a good area. And as promised, our grand total difficulty is 325%. Now, we're about to start here. I am going to give myself one mulligan. Because when you start up a game, where you start on the map is randomized, and if we start in a really awful spot, I may just want to restart with the exact same settings just to try for a different spot. So let's get started. Hopefully we won't have to do that. There are techs that can mitigate dangers. I don't think they completely eliminate them, but they help their effects affect less sharply. All right, let's see here. Welcome to Mars. Oh, perfect. I think, we don't need to mulligan this. This is good. What I wanted to do is, I know this map is split in half, and I like starting on the lower half. All right, so... Magic, thank you for the follow. To infinity and beyond. So, what happens here is this game will scan an initial tile for you. Now, we know it's in this tile because it's been scanned. We do not know what is in any of these other tiles. We don't know if there are resources. We don't know if there are deposits, if there's water. We did luck out and we got water in our starting sector, which is awesome. That is not a guarantee. That is not a guarantee by any means. So we lucked out there a little bit. But that being said, we came prepared to not have water. So we can still use our buildings that we brought with us to make the fuel, and then we can use this water deposit for our first dome a little later on. Now, the other thing that gets randomized besides your starting location is what techs you have available to you. So the techs are done in sort of a tier sequence here, where like the first 5 entries in each category are all gonna appear somewhere in that order, and then say the next 5 appear in the next. But which specific order they appear within each category is shuffled every single time you play. So, our initial tech here, Explore AI and Robotics, if we were to restart the game and re-roll a new map, our starting robotics tech would probably be something different. So this can affect what you have available to you in the beginning of the game. So that being said, looking at, and as you can see here, here's our freebie tech that we get for being a futurist, and as you can see, it's a tier 1 tech. It's in this starting area, and as you can see, the tech tree itself, game, can you let me, there are a lot of technologies. And these are not counting the breakthroughs techs. There's a whole other category down here, breakthroughs, but in order to get techs to research, you have to research breakthrough anomalies. Right then, so my first start here, looking at our tech availability here, Explore AI is fantastic to start with. There are 2 early game techs that allow you to get more automatic research from your per soul. The Explorer AI will give you research when you get an RC Explorer. We don't have an RC Explorer yet, but our second rocket will have one, and by the time we get a second rocket going, this tech will be researched or be very close to it. So it's a good timing thing. And then by getting techs that give you more research, you get the other techs a bit faster. That was my whole idea. I knew that a lot of other people were going to start this game on easy mode, or at least medium difficulty, so as not to crash and burn on stream. I've been playing. They've given me this code. I've had this for over a week. Obviously, I haven't been able to stream or do videos on it, but I've been able to play it for that long. So I've been playing it non-stop and just learning the heck out of the game. So yes, we're going for the high difficulty, but I think we actually have a chance of survival. Is that guaranteed? Maybe, maybe not, but it's still good nonetheless. Now, as far as our next thing, extractor amplification is good. It makes it kind of power hungry though, so I might not want it super early in the game. Low-G hydrosynthesis is awesome because it allows us to build our own polymer factory rather than having to import it from there. The low-G fungi is, I like the in-dome advanced farming, which should be coming along sooner. But down here in social, systemic training, scientists and botanists have +10 performance. We're working in their specialty. I do like that because we are going to be doing both, having botanists and scientists early on. Is that the correct answer for our early? We'll queue it up. And then we'll queue that up, and then we'll queue that up, and maybe if we get around to that, you can always rearrange stuff as more tech options. Oh yeah, you do also have an option to outsource, to basically spend funding to get more temporary boost in research speed. But being that we're on the hardest sponsor and we do not have a lot of funding, I will not be using funding for more research. Right then, so it also wants us to select a sector to scan. So this is where, you know, if you bought the orbital probes, you could just click on a tile and boom, it would be instantly scanned. Now we can rely on our own scanners to slowly reveal tiles. And we can queue up tiles to get scanned here. Generally, you want to do ones near your stuff so you can see what's around you. And last but not least, we can pick a place for our ship to land. Now, a few things that you want to keep in mind. You can see this little big blue hexagon on the outer ring. That's how far the drones that this ship is controlling can go. So you want to make sure whatever it is you're interested in tapping into are within that range. These rocks up here are our starting metals. These are very important because without them we won't be able to build everything that we want. We also need to make sure that we have our concrete and our underground water ready to roll. So what we're going to do here is, let's put it somewhere somewhat sensibly located here. Let's maybe put it, say, because we want to make sure we encapsulate everything, but also have a chance to sort of round up and tap into everything else. You know what? I think nestled against the mountain's not a bad idea. Sort of like yeah, we don't want to stomp on the deposit over there. Yeah, right against the mountain should be good. All right, unpause time, and here comes our ship. Well, that's my rocket is a shark. It looks like a shark. It's you know, these are the eyes. The window here is the mouth, and it just gave birth. It's giving birth out of its neck. So that's why I called our rocket Sharky, because it looks like a giant flying shark's head. And here comes all of our little drones. Right then. So, first order of business is that we need to get some concrete production going here. And obviously that is what this concrete deposit's for. Now, there's two different factors to our different deposits. One is how much stuff is there to get, and 1,200 is a pretty sizable amount. This deposit will last us for quite a while. And then the grade is basically how easy is it to tap into that deposit. This is high grade, which means we're going to be getting concrete pretty quickly. Marathon session of Stellaris sounds good to me. So in order to tap into this, we need a concrete extractor. So what you want to do is you want to position this thing so that the tiles cover most of the yellow part here. And you can see in the available resource as you move it around, you want to tap into the most of it. Well, basically when you have a wider section like this, you kind of want to cut it in half. So that way, when this section runs out, you can sort of bite into the other half of it. In fact, it actually might be better for us to tap into it like this. That way we can get a cleaner tap for our second section. Thinking long term here. 357 available, that's not bad. In fact, let's just turn you around. Ooh, 420. That's a really high amount of resources we could tap into, but it's kind of eating into the other section. So if we scooch it over, yeah, 399's fine. Or what if we did this? Because that way that leaves tons of room. 380, 331. I'm just trying to leave us plenty of room. Actually, you know what? It might actually be better. 426. Yeah, we should be good. 413. There. Right then. So, now this thing needs a little power. Schillen's Silipso 7. Sorry about, I have the notification thing a little bit small. So we need to power this beast. So this thing requires 5 energy. A large solar panel will put out 5 energy. Fancy that. So we'll put one near the other. We don't want this too close, or the dust that is produced by this will contaminate this and make us have to repair it constantly. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. The other thing that we want to get down on the ground almost instantly is our super duper futurist probes, our sensor towers rather. So the sensor towers, these speed up our natural scanning. So what we're going to do is we're going to put one in each of the cardinal directions from our thing here. Meridine! Thank you for the follow. So what we want to do is we just want to bring it out here until we get the, you know, you're too far from the working drone controller. They won't be able to build it if we place it out here, but if we walk it back here, then we put it. It's okay that we put it in an unexplored sector. We can always move it if we need to. And then one over here. Right there. Sensor tower down here. Right there. And one over here. Yeah, so the benefit for the Futurists is that our sensor towers do not require maintenance or electricity. They power themselves. So we can put them out in the Nowheresville and have no infrastructure to support them. Normally you have to hook them up to power. So we will, let's get these all built at maximum priority, including our concrete and our solar panel. And our drones, once we unpause, will leap into action. Because the first thing we want to do, especially since we took no orbital probes, is we need to scan out our surroundings. We got to see what things are in the region to sort of plan our next attack here. Yeah, I've seen some people follow commands, like they sort of drop off out of nowhere, which is odd. I don't know why. But welcome back! Alright, so yeah, in order to get a lot of these, we need metals, and we can speed things up here a little bit. And every starting region that you land in has some deposits of metals, some more than others. This is a little on the low side. Things are going to be a little tight, but hopefully in our surrounding areas, we will find and hook up some additional metals so that our drones can go and get them. What the heck's that? Oh yeah, this thing. This is pure decorative. I don't think you can build here, but it doesn't give us any sort of resources here. It's just for show. All right, so our drones are building up our concrete producer. Obviously, it's not going to work until we get our solar panel online, as well as our little cable here. Kaiser, thank you for the subscribe. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the colony. All right, so our concrete scrubber here is basically, this is an unmanned thing. It just does it does its own thing. It goes and gives us concrete, but it also gives us some stored rock. And it will just continue doing its thing, making 24 concrete a day. That ties into that resource quality. It also is probably the world's most hardcore back scratcher. I mean, imagine you got an itch on the back and you just have that thing pass over you. Now, one thing we do want to do is we want to get a dumping site for the waste rock, just so our drones know where to put the waste rock. As far as I've seen so far, there's nothing that we can do with the waste rock. It just sort of takes up space, but it's something. It's just something that we have to deal with. Welcome back, wifey unit. So we've got that up and running. Now we need to get a power bank so that we can get our water and fuel production online. Now those require a bit more juice, so we're going to need a little bit more elaborate of a setup here. What I like to do is, first off, we want to put them away from our rocket, because when our rocket takes off, it kicks up a lot of dust, and we don't want to cover all of our solar panels with dust, because that will make us use resources to repair them. So I think, and you also generally want to put your initial power outlay next to where the metal rocks, because most of what we're about to build is made of metal, so this will make it easier for our drones to get the resources they need to build them. Actually, you can hold control, you can hold shift to place multiples. Just to be symmetrical, I'm going to put 8 of these down. We're going to use a lot of power here. Perfect. And then power cables to line them all up here. Now, all of this solar power is all well and good, but when it comes to night, they all turn off, obviously. So what we're going to do is we need power accumulators, essentially big batteries. And I'm actually going to build 2 of them. That's a little overkill, but there's a couple of reasons. The other thing is, and here's an important fact, don't put them next to each other. Why? Because we are in a region with maximum meteors. When a meteor hits, it has a little bit of a small AoE of destruction. And if you cluster all of your most critical buildings together, they will all be taken out at once. Now, yes, if a meteor hits right here, I'm going to lose a bunch of solar panels, but they're easy and cheap to repair. And they don't have built-up energy. If we were to have both batteries next to each other and a meteor hit both of them, we would instantly lose all of our stored power in that sector, and that would be bad. Having just one battery alive is better than none. So, and that's going to kind of inform my design decision for, at the very least, for stuff that accumulates. Now, you guys might be saying, Pinstar, why don't you hook up your concrete thing up to here, or why don't you give it a battery? I mean, it's going to shut down at night. 2 reasons. One, if you, the longer a specific network of power cables is, the more likely that one of those cables is to break and short out, and your drones will have to run over and fix them. And two, this thing makes so much concrete that if having it shut down at nighttime is actually not that bad. It will still make enough concrete for us. Oh, that reminds me. Let's get a universal depot here so that we can store our concrete and other materials as they are made. All right, we're getting our sensor towers online. There's that one online. That one's online. And all right, so all 4 of our sensor towers are now online. See that sensor towers boost 430%? We are now scanning a heck of a lot faster because we have these sensor towers up. So we're gonna getting our regional scans a lot faster. And the next one, now as you get further away from your towers, the bonus goes down, but that's okay. And yeah, nighttime, your solar panels shut down automatically, so our concrete maker shuts down. That's fine. Gives our drones a chance to empty out the storage so it doesn't fill up and
Sector
shut
scanned.
down.
Anomaly found.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Okay. So, well, we ended up building on a thing, but we can always move this if we need to. Not that, I mean, we've got plenty of concrete here for the long term. We also got some more metals here, which is awesome because I was worried about my metal supply. A little more metals over here, but I don't, yeah, that's outside the reach. So we can't fetch these, but we can fetch these. We also got 2 anomalies out of the deal. This one will, when you explore the key anomalies, they open up new tech research possibilities on your main branch. They don't give you research points, they don't research any of the techs for you, but it gives you more options. So you have a wider range of choices. This magnifying glass is a breakthrough anomaly, which will add a single random breakthrough tech that allows you to research it. And Chaos Badger, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. So yeah, these obviously as we build these solar panels, they're not going to come online quite yet. But I think we built up enough concrete to get our batteries online because each of them requires 3. That's why we built our concrete extractor before the batteries. We also took some polymers with us in our things. Oh, that reminds me. That's the other thing we might want to consider is getting some drone recharge stations here. That might be useful. Because right now the only place drones can recharge, and you can tell they need a recharge by when they have this little yellow flashing light, that means their battery's low, and they'll automatically drop what they're doing and go to the next place to recharge. At the moment, the only place for them to recharge is their home ship. This Sharky makes its own power supply, at the very least, that can recharge the drones. But having drone recharge stations strategically placed...
Sector scanned.
Whoa, Nelly! What is this? This is delicious. We've got ourselves a rare metals deposit, which is awesome because your colonists can mine that and and then we can bring that back to Earth, and that gets us more money. Gnorin, thanks for stopping by. Thank you for, and then down here, underground metals, these are the same metals as we find up here, but in much greater quantity. So eventually we will vacuum up all of the surface deposits of metals, but we're going to need a longer term supply of them. Here's a longer term supply of them. So I'm really happy with the way things are going right here. But these are, again, you need colonists to tap into underground supplies. So we need to get a lot more advanced and a lot more established before we even think about tapping these deposits. That being said, it does inform us for our future expansions. In fact, now that we've kind of identified sort of a sweet spot area where I want to sort of wander the colony's development generally in this direction, we can place our drone hub. I've purposely not placed our drone hub until we've done some scanning to figure out what direction we kind of want to expand our colony into, because the drone hub will allow us to sort of expand our logistics in that direction, as well as serve as a place for drones to recharge. Now, what I like to do here, and this is what I call like leapfrogging, we want to place this drone hub sort of in the direction that we want to go, but we want to make sure it encapsulates all of our current construction. Because eventually our ship is going to take off, but those buildings are still going to need maintenance. And drones need to be able to access them. So if we leave them out and abandoned, eventually they'll deteriorate, shut down, and be inoperative until we can get drones over there. So I'm going to put it, say, right down here. Yeah, right down here. And I am going to go a little bit longer with the cables here, just because I want this tapped into our... yeah, let's go around the deposit here. Perfect. So they will build the cables and our drone hub, and the drone hub itself actually has 4 drones inside of it. So we will get up to 15 total drones moving and shaking around the colony here, which is excellent. And once we get our power's online here, so we can actually start getting our other goodies here, our fuel production. So we took 2 prefab moisture evaporators. Hopefully we don't have any uncles that get killed by invading Empire. We'll just have to get some extra parts from Tashi Station. But no, seriously, these things are unmanned buildings. And they produce 1 unit of water, which isn't much, or doesn't seem like much, but you can do a lot with 1 unit of water. And it says construction cost, but these are prefabs, so you don't actually have to spend those. Also, see that little area around it? You can't put these things too close together. You have to spread them out, or they'll reduce each other's effectiveness. So we're going to put 1 over here, and then 1 on the other side of our little chain here. Or maybe, you know what we could do? No, we'll just put it on the other side here. Actually, here's what we'll do. We'll put it on this side over here. And then, because it's smaller, we'll put the power accumulator over here. Now, in order for these things to actually make use of each other, we're at this moment we're producing 2 things of water, or well, we will in a moment. So to make use of that water, we need 2 fuel refineries, which needs a constant supply of 1 unit of water. So 2 moisture evaporators will keep 2 fuel refineries perfectly busy. So we'll put you here. And you here. Yes, I know, not enough power. And then we last but not least need pipes that will transport the water from point A to point B. All right, so our drones are getting into action here. Yep, next week it will be available to the general public. I don't have the exact date, but it's about a week from now. Yeah, but I mean, I have to say it's in really good shape in terms of, like, I haven't encountered any kind of bugs or no crashes, no stuttering, no weird things. It runs crisply and smoothly. So it's in a good place. All right, excellent. All right, so we've got our fuel production online. We've got our 2 moisture evaporators cooking, pumping in 2 units of water into our pipeline. These 2 are using that. So these guys will produce 12 fuel per soul, basically per day. Now here's where
Sector scanned.
That was kind of a whiff of a sector. Bleh, I say. Well, might as well circle around here. Now, this is where the drawback for the Paradox Interactive... well, it's not really an RTS. This isn't a... you're not going to have, enemy units that are going to come attack you. You don't have to start, building tanks and troops and whatnot. This is not a military game. This is not Command and Conquer. It's basically you against the environment. And there's plenty of things in the environment that are more than happy to kill you, but it's not like, invading aliens or, murder, death, kill robots or whatnot. All right, March 15th is the release date. So a little bit more than a week. Now the question is, we don't have our accumulators online yet. So come nighttime, everything shuts down, which is, it's fine. It's not great because the downside to Paradox's thing is most of the time you need only 60 fuel to refuel a rocket, but because Paradox, for one reason or another, is really lousy with their fuel supply, they take 100 fuel. So that's the downside. Yeah, the UI is great. It's pretty minimalist, but when you want to build something, you just right-click, and boom, you get your resource interview, you get your different buildings, you pick what you want, you place it, and then the menus go away. The UI, no complaints on the UI. Now, bear in mind, this is not a formal review of the game. I'm actually not allowed to do a formal review of the game. This is just a playthrough. But my personal, I can't really say my personal thing.
Sector
but
scan.
You know what? You guys
found.
Look for yourselves and make that decision. If you think the UI looks intuitive, then absolutely. Another breakthrough anomaly. I am liking this. Now, again, we can't do anything with these anomalies until we get an Explorer rover. But that's coming in our next rocket. Is there a win condition? I don't actually know if there's a formal win condition. You could, where is it? Milestones. You could say checking off all of the milestones here would be a win condition. So far, we've only done one, find water on Mars. But getting all the way down here, getting a megadome, getting a wonder, you could say would be a milestone. Filling the map, solving whatever the mystery is of the planet. I have not played that late into the end game to be able to tell you if there is a definitive "you're a winner" screen, or if it just plays indefinitely. I'd be fine with it either way, honestly. SimCity, in all of its iterations, has never had a win condition, and that's never bothered me. And your example with Oxygen Not Included is also a good one. Not every game necessarily needs a win condition. All right, our stuff's back online, and more importantly, our accumulators are online. So they're sucking up the excess juice from the grid and storing it, and then come nighttime, they'll be able to release that energy and keep everything online throughout the night. Let's see here. So I'm actually just going to kick us up to faster speed, because right now there isn't a lot to
Sector
do
scan.
until, besides scanning and just marching our way down here. Now, one other thing we may want to do, since we know we're going to expand in this direction, let's start accumulating some more of our resources with specialized depots, metals, concrete, because this universal depot is not so good. Nahili's 1, thank you for the follow. Concrete, and we'll do a fuel depot for now, just because. Actually, you know what we could do? We can do another universal one down here. These things are free, by the way. And actually, I think what I'll do is I'll pop this depot just so everything can get consolidated. It does not destroy the resources that are sitting on here. it'll just put them on the ground, and then your drones will know, okay, we need to find a home for these. And now they're all finding homes for them. So this will keep our drones good and busy while we wait for our fuels to be built up. And as you can see, this is why I went with the 2 fuel refineries, because fueling this thing up on 1 fuel refinery would take 4 freaking ever. And that's actually a legitimately bad thing. It's not just we have to wait longer, let's fast forward. As time goes on, even if you take all the proper precautions, your buildings will slowly deteriorate. And there's really nothing that you can do to stop that. There are texts that you can research that will slow that down, but nothing that can stop that. But, I mean, that's not the end of the world. When this bar goes up, you have a little bit extra time, and then a drone will be called to bring a part to it to service. In this case, this fuel refinery requires a machine part to service.
Sector scanned.
But the longer everything takes, the more frequently everything will need to be serviced, just because of the passage of time. So having things get drawn out and take forever is actually a legitimately harmful thing. So you want to keep things moving at a decent pace, or you're going to bleed yourself dry of parts. Granted, our ultimate goal, and one of the things you can ultimately do, is to become self-sufficient. You can eventually make all the resources, including the advanced ones, yourself rather than buy them. So that's a way that you can sort of, things will still need to be, maintained, but it's not the end of the world if if you're making your own parts, you're not in danger of just completely bleeding yourself dry.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
That was quick. All right, we're cranking through here. We're getting anomalies. Let's go around the horn here since we're going in this direction. And more anomalies. That's a key anomaly. That's fine. And yeah, with our drone hub here, they can get at these rock deposits, which is awesome. The Ended 1210, thank you for the follow. Let's see here. Oh, you guys can get up with that one? All right, good. You guys pick it clean. Fuel, it's getting up there. I mean, our drones are bringing the fuel. Thankfully, the fuel is in canisters. You don't have to, it's not like liquid fuel that you have to pipe in. They're these little red canisters. So the drones will automatically bring this up. In fact, I'm going to put it at top priority so that whenever there is fuel available here, the drones, the first thing that the drones will do will come in and bring in fuel. And then only if there's no fuel available will they go and seek to do other things, which is fine. Because our top priority here is getting Sharky fueled up so we can send it back to Mars, so then we can load it with more stuff and send it back here. This is one of the downsides to being on hard mode, but, I'll take what I can get. Now, the question becomes, do we want another probe down here? We could. I mean, it's a little bit further. Nah, we don't need another one. I don't want to use up too much electronics. As you can see, some of our drones are actually, you know what we can do? We can transfer our drones to the hub here. Because right now, most of our drones, except for the 4 that came with our drone hub, are attached to and controlled by Sharky, and therefore must obey Sharky's drone control limit. But if we transfer them over to the drone hub, now they use the drone hub as their home base and will obey the drone hub's range, and therefore can start going at these rock piles, which Sharky cannot reach. So what I'm basically going to do is look for, more money. I like money. Oh, wow. Double money. Cash money. And a very high concentration, too. Wow, double cash money. So, well, we know where we want to go if we want to make even more money. But that being said, that's going to be a little overkill. I think we're going to be just fine with this single high resource. And it's probably not even going to be tapped into with our very first dome. Let's see here. 61. So yeah, if we didn't have the penalty, we'd be able to launch our rocket right about now. But we got 40 more fuel to go. But that's fine. Tech is slowly churning away. As you can see here, the base 100 beaks per soul that our sponsor gives us is not very good. That's why we want a beeline for this Explore AI, which will double that. Which is still actually not that very good. There is one more that allows you to increase and you get another freebie 100. But beyond that, we're going to need colonists and research labs. Colonists are surprisingly good researchers. So getting research labs up and running sooner rather than later is a good idea if you want to make progress on the tech tree. Especially if we want to hit those breakthrough techs. Because even if we discover them with the anomalies, we still actually have to spend the beakers to research them. And yeah, like I said, I'm fine with our concrete thing shutting down every night because we're already up to 65 concrete. You need 75 to build
Sector
your first
scanned.
basic
Anomaly
dome.
found.
Whoa! Double-barreled anomalies. Let's see, another key and an eye. The eyes are kind of like the wild card anomalies. I like to save them for the very end. They can give you funding, they can give you beakers, they can give you tech, they can give you any number of things. They're sort of like the chance card anomalies. All right, 74 out of 100 fuel. We are almost there. It's a little bit of a slower start, but I mean, when you're starting on the hardest, on one of the hardest difficulties, you're gonna have to start things out gently. You know, if you're impatient with your rockets, go ahead and take the Space-Wise sponsor, which gets 5 of the dang things. Yeah, lazy drones, lazy drones. Of course, pretty soon this drone hub is going to be at a loss for things to do. So I don't think there's any other grabbable deposits near them. No, not really. We've pretty much picked our region clean, which is good. They'll sit idle for a bit, but that's all right. As long as we have drones constantly picking up the fuel as soon as it's produced here, which it is. These refineries can store up to 100, but our drones are grabbing them as soon as a whole fuel gets produced and bringing them to the mothership. Sharky is thirsty. Why the water generators? Well, here's the thing. One, I paid for and bought these
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
These moisture evaporators, not knowing if these things were, if we were going to have groundwater or not. We ended up with groundwater in our initial tile, but I didn't know that we would. That's not a guarantee. That being said, I'm still going with them to produce our fuel because now, see, this is very low grade. We're not going to get a lot of water out of this, so we can reserve all of our groundwater production for our colonies proper because our colonies are going to need water too. So it makes, even though we have the water, I'm still going to use these because, I mean, these things are use it or lose it. We paid for them. They took up space. We might as well tap into their benefit. And now that's all the more water for our colonies, which means that we can get our colony established real quick here. You know, if our first thing of water was like way out here, we would have to march our way out to there before we could start building colony domes. And the fact that that there's even more water deposits near here means that we can get a little cluster of colonies going here, which is going to be good in the long run. 95 out of 100. All right, we are about ready to send Sharky back to Earth. Almost. 98. Yep, everyone goes back in here. And our stuff will continue to make fuel, so by the time it comes back, we'll already have a good chunk of fuel ready to go. Come on, give me the last one.
Sector scanned.
Where are you going with that fuel?
Select the sector to scan.
Oh, we scanned everything. All right, well, let's get you here. And what the hey, we'll get that one over there. And then I think we'll go here and say down here and down here. Because this seems to be the general direction we're going in. All right, and this little pulsing here tells us Sharky's ready to take off. So takeoff in progress. Oop. So Sharky, if there's any drones on board, Sharky's going to kick them out. You want to make sure that you've taken all the resources out of Sharky, well, besides the fuel and any exports, which we don't have. But soon Sharky should close up shop and get ready to roll. I think there's probably just one drone recharging it. Nope, there it goes.
Milestone achieved.
All right, first rocket launched from Mars. Now, all of the drones that used to belong to Sharky are now transferring themselves over to the drone hub. So they'll remain useful even though Sharky's not around to command them. This is why we wanted to make sure the drone hub was encapsulating these buildings here, because now that Sharky's gone, they're still going to need maintenance. So this drone hub has the reach to maintain them whenever that's needed.